Rosemont Copper plans to use Scenic Route 83 as their primary access to the mine site. They say SR83 will be no more dangerous with the 60,000 truck trips they will add each year and the 495 employees who must travel to work. Loaded trucks weigh 80,000 pounds. They claim that adding 60,000 truck trips each year will not impact safety on SR83. To validate their claims, they compared Scenic Route 83 to Arizona Highway 77. This is like comparing apples to oranges. In a moment, you will see photographs taken at each mile marker. From mile marker 77 to 134 on Highway 77, and from mile marker 34 to 58 on Scenic Highway 83. Arizona Highway 77 lies directly north of Tucson. Scenic Route 83 is directly south. First, we will look at Arizona Highway 77. As you watch, notice the wide shoulders, passing lanes, there are very few curves, there are few steep grades, the guardrails are not right on the edge of the roadway, and there are left and right-hand turn lanes. 57 mile markers exist in the section of Arizona Highway 77 that was compared. We have taken photographs at each mile marker. Let's take a look at them. From mile marker 77 through mile marker 85, Arizona Highway 77 is a split boulevard with 2 lanes in each direction. This is a fairly high-volume traffic area. From mile marker 80 through mile marker 85, there is not a whole lot of development. From mile marker 85 to mile marker 89, we pass through Catalina. At mile marker 89 is Saddlebrook Boulevard. Over the next 10 miles, there is very little development. Mile marker 91 is the junction with Arizona Highway 79 that heads north to Florence. Notice the left-hand turn lane. How wide the shoulders are, nearly as wide as the travel lane. At mile marker 95, we have a left turn lane as well as right turn lanes and acceleration lanes. As we pass mile marker 100, we can exit to the right onto Old Highway 77, which will take us through the town of Oracle. Old Highway 77 rejoins Highway 77 at mile marker 104. From mile marker 104 to mile marker 113, there is no development at all. This entire span of roadway has a continuous pattern of passing lanes either in the north or southbound directions. This prevents traffic from backing up behind slower-moving vehicles. It also prevents drivers from attempting to pass in the oncoming traffic lane. At mile marker 109, Highway 87 intersects with Reddington Road. To the east is the old San Manuel mine, and to the west is the old Mammoth mine. At mile marker 113, we enter the mining town of Mammoth. From here through mile marker 134, there are no more passing lanes. There are also significantly fewer accidents in this stretch of roadway. The one exception would be between mile markers 122 and 125. Accident rates are elevated in curvier sections of Highway 77, especially those bordered with guardrails. Significantly higher accident levels also occur at major intersections. Higher accident levels were experienced at the junction of Highway 77 and Highway 79. In the town of Oracle, higher accident levels were also experienced at the two locations where old Highway 77 intersects with new Highway 77. Now we will take a look at Scenic Route 83. As you watch the video, notice the narrow shoulders, there are no passing lanes, the guardrails are right on the edge of the roadway, there are many limited sight curves, and there are steep grades. Scenic Route 83 is a fairly curvilinear route which winds its way through some of the most scenic, high country vistas throughout the entire southern Arizona Coronado National Forest region. From I-10 to Sonoita, there are 24 mile markers. We have taken photographs at each mile marker. Let's take a look. We are heading south on Scenic Route 83 from the I-10 interchange to the town of Sonoita. Notice how close to the roadway the guardrails are. The shoulders are very narrow or non-existent. Bicyclists have very little shoulder room and commonly enter the travel lanes. There are many limited sight curves on Highway 83. Often they are on steep grades. Rosemont proposes to access Highway 83 between mile marker 46 and 47. This stretch is also one of the better passing opportunities. From mile marker 46 to mile marker 42, the average grade exceeds 6%. Since no passing lanes exist on Highway 83, traffic has few opportunities to pass slower-moving vehicles. Rosemont lies near the highest elevation point with Highway 83. Whether traveling to the mine site from the north or the south, heavy trucks will have to climb steep grades. Now let's compare what we just saw. To compare the roadways, I classified good and bad roadway elements. Several roadway elements determine if the overall roadway width is considered good. If shoulders are greater than 4 feet wide, if passing lanes exist, or if left or right turning lanes exist. Bad roadway elements consist of guardrails on the edge of the roadway, no passing lanes, or steep grades. Let's see how Arizona Highway 77 rated. The photographs represent mile markers that met the criteria. Overall roadway width was considered good on Arizona Highway 77. Shoulders were either 4 feet wide or greater, or passing lanes existed, or left or right turning lanes existed. 26 of the 57 mile markers on Arizona Highway 77 had wide shoulders. 27 of them had passing lanes, and 5 had left or right turning lanes. How did they score on the bad roadway elements? No bad elements were observed on Arizona Highway 77. There were no guardrails on the edge of the roadway, no narrow shoulders or roadway width, and no steep grades. Arizona Scenic Route 83 is another story. Only one mile marker, milepost 58, had overall sufficient roadway width. Mile marker 58 had wide enough shoulders, and it also had a left turn lane. Passing lanes do not exist anywhere on Arizona Scenic Route 83. SR83 is full of bad elements. All mile markers except for mile marker 58 had narrow shoulders. Guardrails too close to the roadway were observed at 13 of the mile markers. And at 7 mile markers, steep grades were observed. Overall, how did Arizona Highway 77 do versus Scenic Route 83? Highway 77 scored 100% for roadway width. This is made up of elements such as wide shoulders or passing lanes or left and right turning lanes. Scenic Route 83 scored 4% on roadway width. How did they score on the bad roadway elements? No bad elements were observed on Arizona Highway 77. There were no guardrails on the edge of the roadway, no narrow shoulders or roadway width, and no steep grades. On Scenic Route 83, 50% of the mile markers had guardrails on the edge of the roadway, 96% had narrow shoulders or roadway width, and 29% steep grades were observed. Obviously, there is no comparing Arizona Highway 77 to Arizona Scenic Route 83. Scenic Route 83 has other concerns as well. Many oversized loads travel the roadway. Border Patrol activity is very common. There are no school bus loading zones, and south of the proposed mine access there is a Border Patrol checkpoint. SR83 winds through a known wildlife migration corridor, and the I-10 interchange with SR83 was not considered in any of the studies. Since Scenic Highway 83 is a scenic highway, it sees many tourists and sightseers. It is also common to see bicycle tours and individual riders. In conclusion, the narrow roadway, the guardrails on the edge of the roadway, steep grades, limited sight curves, no passing lanes, and no left or right turning lanes combine to make SR83 a very hazardous road.